Hello, I'm Ashley Sellers, speech language pathologist and owner and operator of Speech, Language, and Beyond. I'm coming to you today to follow up on the previous video that I just did pertaining to working with children that have few words. So in that video, the two main things that we were trying to make sure that we establish with our children at that stage is making sure that we establish their joint attention skills, which is their ability to be able to look in the direction of your face when you're speaking to them and for them to respond appropriately to the verbal command or the verbal response that you give. They can respond to that either through their actions by following through on a command that you give them, or verbally by them being able to use words to answer a question or to give you details about something. And we set them up to establish those skills by using toys. We use the toys to draw them in and to stimulate their language. At that particular point of the therapy, it's not so much about them being able to use words and necessarily being able to communicate with you right away, but setting them up to be able to process the information that you say to help strengthen their language skills. So in this video, what I want to do is follow up on once we get through that stage and the children are able to sit down on the floor with you, participate back and forth with the play activity by looking at the object, attempting to try to name it when you ask them, imitating the motor movements that you do with the objects by dropping them in the box. Then the next thing that we want to do in this stage is really focus on them being able to use words or sign as a way to communicate and being able to identify objects, actions, and different spatial concepts based on what they hear you say. So basically, after that particular stage of the toys, the two most important things for me that I want to work on with them is identifying objects and actions, because it sets them up to be able to use two-word phrases, a noun and a verb and a noun, which is your basic form of a sentence. And so I normally focus on naming objects, naming actions, object and object function, because that puts both of those things together. Ball rolling. So it's the ball, then you have the verb, and it's telling the function of what that object is. So what I want to do is show you the activities that I normally use once we've gotten past the stage with the toys. This is normally what I draw them into. So before I show it to you, an important thing that I want you to remember, now transitioning them to this stage sometimes can really be hard, because they get to the point where they know what to expect when they come to therapy. They're looking for those toys that bring them so much joy and that they already know how to use. And so what I normally do is, when I introduce activities such as these, I still will have about 2 or 3 toys that they are used to using. I use those at the beginning of the session and draw them into it until the point that once they're used to using these and they get excited about using these, and then eventually I go ahead and I fade them all the way out. Okay, so one of the first things that I like to start with is a puzzle. Okay, so this is a farm animal puzzle, and I chose this specifically because I'm still focusing on those one syllable words. They can either be open syllables or they can be closed syllables. I'm also focusing on those age appropriate sounds. So basically what I do is, all the pieces are in there now, so I normally take all of the pieces out. Okay, so I'm taking them out now. And if I were sitting on the floor with the child that I was working with, I would get these pieces and I put them, as I said, either between my legs or under my leg, where the child cannot have access to them right away. So I get this puzzle and I sit it in front of them, and then I choose the first one that I want them to do. So for example, I hold up the duck, and as you notice, I hold it close to my mouth, in the area of my face, so they still have to draw in and look in this area, and I say, what is this? Give them about 2 or 3 seconds to respond, and I say, duck, duck. This is a duck. The duck says quack quack, and then normally I'll do that again, I put it in their hand, then I ask them to find where the duck is. So most times, because they're still kind of in that stage where they're used to using the toys, sometimes they're not going to want to take that piece and put it exactly where it goes. They're going to want to play with it. So give them a moment to kind of fumble around with it and get used to, how it feels. And then I'll take their hand. And then if they can't find it on their own, then I show them where it is. And I say, duck. Oh, the duck is swimming in the water. Okay. So then I go back again and I find another one and I hold it up. What is this? Sheep. Sheep. Baa goes the sheep. What does the sheep say? Baa goes the sheep. Can you find the sheep? And then I give them a chance to try to find it on their own. And then if they can't, then I take their hands to it. So that's what I would do for the rest of this activity. Now let me point out a few things that's really important. Now in the beginning, this is a lot for them to take in at one time, transitioning from the toys, because they have so much to look at. And that's normal, because a part of continuing to establish the joint attention skills is being able to focus in when there's a lot going on around you, being able to focus in on that one thing that is important for the moment. So they're going to have difficulty in the beginning seeing all of this and not wanting to touch it. They're not necessarily going to want the pieces to stay in place as you try to move forward with another one. And you just have to work with them on that and try to get them to keep the pieces here as much as you can. But remember, they're children. They're not going to sit down the way an adult would sit down. They're going to be excited about this. So you just kind of have to work with them on that. But it's also going to be a lot in the beginning for them to know exactly what to look at and what to concentrate on. But what you will find over time is that the longer you start using this with them, when you notice that you can put the piece in their hand and they can find the one that looks like it, that is a key sign that they are processing information. They're learning how to shut out the information that they don't need for the moment, focus exactly on what it is, on what they need, and that lets you know they're processing information. They understand that these two things, they look the same, so I'm going to put this one here. That's a key factor that lets you know that they're processing information correctly and that they're beginning to understand what it is you're saying to them and what's expected of them. When they can process, okay, well, you know what, this is the duck, this is the one that looks like it, so I can ignore all the rest of this and put the duck exactly where it goes. So when they can start matching things, that lets you know they're processing information, they understand what things are, and they know what to focus on at that particular time and what not to focus on. So that's a key sign that they are making a lot of progress. Okay, so I normally start with this one simply because it gives me my open syllable words and words like cow and baa and moo and quack quack and all of those, and it still gives me those CVC words as well, in sheep and in pig and in duck, that they can still work on. Okay, so the key for this one still is them focusing in enough on being able to match it together. And once they get all the pieces on here, normally what I do is I try to work on their identifying skills. So I'll say, where is the cow? Can you put the cow in my hand? In the beginning, they're not going to be able to do it. So you give them a chance to figure it out. Then if they don't, you take them to where the cow is. I hold it up and I say, oh, that's the cow. See, they look the same. The cow says moo. So when I start the activity, I'm working on their naming by asking them, what is this? They're processing the question, what is it? And it gives them that the sign that they need to understand that, okay, I'm asking you a question and she requires for me to give her answer. In the beginning, I'm giving them the answer, but over time, once you do this enough, they should be able to say that back to you. So that's also increasing their naming skills. And then once they're all on here, I ask them to identify it for me and to see if they can find it. So you will see all those skills develop over time. The next thing that I love to use is this picture bingo board, and it comes with a lot more boards in here, but this is the one that I found that was most age appropriate for my kids between I'll just say 1.5 to 2.5 to 3 years old. This was a good one to start off with. So normally I place this board in front of them. It's the same concept as with the puzzle, okay, only we're just dealing with more common objects that they would normally see in pictures or on TV or in their daily environment at home. All right, so I'll start off with, okay, what is this? Giving them the question, what is this? Giving them an opportunity to name. Apple. Apple. Where's the apple? See if they can find the one that looks like it. Then sometimes I might say, well, what do we do with the apple? We eat apple, giving them the word and the sign, and I'm still building on their ability to understand action words with the word eat apple. And then we do it with the rest of them. Okay, where is the dog? Dog. Find the dog. What does the dog like to eat? The dog eats a bone. Okay, and I'm still building on the object function of trying to build the noun plus the verb. So with this one, we're still working on being able to name them, and then once we found all of them, then I lay it flat and I ask them, can you show me the dog? Can you put the apple in my hand? So we're still working on them processing information, following through on a command, identifying the objects, and then being able to name the picture, and then being able to answer a question about the picture. Okay, so that's another one that I love to start off with as well. So those two things pretty much cover objects and naming. All right, so when I kind of want to work on my action words, then I love to use the super duper fishing game, where this is the little pond of water that we spread out. Here is the little fishing pole, and then I choose the most basic actions that they should be familiar with seeing and doing every day as a part of their daily routine. So we have talking on the phone, baby crying, washing hands, reading book, drinking milk, brushing hair, eating hot dog, and baby sleeping. So I take all of these and I turn them over on the fishing in the water, and they take the fishing pole and they lift it up out of the water. Okay, and once they do that, I will flip it over, and then I'll ask them, look, what is the baby doing? Give them a chance to answer. The baby is sleeping. So I'm giving them the word, I'm giving them the sign, and most likely for my kids who aren't using words, they always go for the sign. So either one that they want to give back, and so we do it again. Okay? What is the lady doing? Let's look at the lady. There's a lady, there's a phone. What is she doing? She is talking. Hello, the lady is talking on the phone. Still giving them a word and a gesture and a sign to associate with the picture. Okay, and we keep doing that till all of them are out of the water. And once they are, I take these pictures and I move the water out of the way and align all of these pictures up in front of them, and I say, show me talking, show me eating, show me drinking, just like that, to see if they can identify the ones that we've already talked about. And again, this is working on them being able to process information, identify actions on command by giving you the correct picture, setting them up to understand what a question is by asking them, what is this? And then or what are they doing, for them to be able to name an action. Okay, and then if I continue to want to work on some action words, then I normally also use the super duper early action words with the magnetic board. All right, and what it does is it sets it up so we have grandma here. Let's move the girl out the way. So we have grandma here. What can grandma do? Grandma can hug. Grandma can drink. What can grandpa do? Grandpa can read. Grandpa can walk. Now what I normally do is I would take all the action pictures off and leave the pictures of the people on. I would normally set all of these pictures in front of them, and I'll go over them with them first, because you want to give them the benefit of the doubt. We're not trying to test them like they're taking a test and ask them what these are first, without giving them a chance by introducing it to them so they can become familiar with it. So normally I take all of these and I say, oh, hugging, grandma is hugging the boy. Drinking, grandma is drinking from the cup. Reading, grandpa is reading the book. Walking, grandpa is walking. Then I lay them in front of them, and then I hold this up and I say, let's find grandma. So they'll find grandma, and I say, okay, look at grandma. Tell me, what can grandma do? So when they find the picture of grandma and maybe she's drinking, oh, drink. Grandma can drink out of the cup. And we put it right here. And we go from there. And then once they're all on here, I say, show me drinking, show me walking, show me reading. And then I put it back in a sentence form to build them up from using one word to being able to use a sentence. Okay, so these are pretty much the activities that are the next step of the activities that I use once I get to the stage where I want them to start being able to use words to communicate. So in this stage, what you want to remember, the key is the three things that we're working on is identifying objects and actions, naming objects and actions, processing information to where they can follow through on a verbal command, and process information enough to be able to name something and to answer a question about it. And we also want to build on them being able to use a short sentence. So we always want our questions to be questions that target object function. And the reason why this is important is because we have to remember that they are between the ages of 1 to about 3 years old. So they have a daily routine that includes walking, running, eating, sleeping, drinking, washing. You want to give them things that they're seeing every day. The key thing is, when they're here, you want to give them things that they see every day. This is a very clinical setting for them, but you want them to be able to generalize what they learn from here and to be able to take it home and give it back to their parents, who are the people most concerned about what they say and being able to communicate with them. So show them things that relate to what their daily experiences are as being young children. They can't do a lot for themselves. They're always being assisted, but we know every day they're getting up, they're eating breakfast, they're drinking, they have to wash themselves, they have to wash their hands, they go to sleep at night. All of those things are things they see every day. So if we take things that they see every day and target it in the session, then they're able to relate that to what they do in their everyday life, and then they can generalize it from here and give it back to the people who really want to see them to be able to communicate. Okay, so that's the next stage of what we do. So I hope that this helps, and of course, as always, if you have any questions, you can feel free to email me or call. Thank you and have a great day.